Hello and welcome to the special Tuesday episode of Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. James isn't here. This is attempt number 4 of doing this. Our guest, who is a good friend of mine, someone I've known for a while, decided to come back for day 2, which I am surprised that she agreed to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Katherine Legge, thanks for being here again.
Thank you for having me on again.
Yes. Everyone knows who listens to this show that the technical things are a part of our charm. That's what keeps people coming back, I feel like.
Hey, I feel like you may be able to.
And our just bubbling personality. So, all right.
Which you're renowned for, by the way.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I do pride myself on that. All right. Enough about me. Let's talk about you, Katherine, in my mind, are kind of you were the leading person that was the woman race car driver in obviously a male dominated sport. Because when I was, and I'm not saying this to try and assign dates. No, I'm not. No. But when I was watching Champ Car and was over in Europe in the beginning and was doing Formula BMW and everything, you were in Champ Car, and you were the person that was kind of the pioneer of females in racing in my mind. Obviously there was Lynn St. James and others before you, but as someone who was, learning about the sport and watching it and trying to become a race car driver, you were that person. So what was that like? And what is that still obviously currently like?
Thank you for not making me feel old there, Alex. You get brownie points for that one. I never went into it wanting to be a pioneer. I never went into it wanting to be any different to any other race car driver, right? I just wanted to be seen as a race car driver, regardless of gender. And I never really played the girl card. I don't know the best way to say that, but I didn't even want to acknowledge the fact that I was different. Now I do. Now I think times have changed, and it's cool that we have this whole girl power movement, especially brought to the forefront by Elf. So I feel slightly different about it now as to when I was back then. But back then I didn't want to be like a beacon of light to other female racing drivers. I just wanted to be successful. I was very selfish. I just wanted to be the best driver that I could be, regardless of gender. And so I don't know. I feel differently about it because I look at people like Janet Guthrie and Lynn St. James, and then Danica, Sarah Fisher, and then me. And I feel like maybe my generation got a little bit lost. I feel like since then I've done a lot for other women in racing, and I've kind of flown the flag, and I was the FIA's Women in Motorsport female driver representative for a long time. But I feel like that's kind of got a bit lost really with mine and Simona's generation. I feel like we were probably 2 of the best. Still are, not writing myself off quite yet. But I feel like with all the momentum that's kind of coming up behind us with that all-female series and the F1 Academy and all the other things, I feel like, hey, I'm still here and I'm still fast, and I have had a very long and very varied career. Like I've literally driven everything. But like a lot of times I feel like doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Does that make sense?
It does. And before we get to kind of the modern day element of women in motorsports and everything that comes with that, you probably can't say this, but I can. And I feel like the reason, if I had to guess, no, shut up, Tim. I feel like the reason, if I had to guess why you feel like maybe it was a little bit lost for you and Simona, was because you were the best. Because you two had the results and you were the ones that were winning races, and it wasn't they're good for women. Like it was, no, they're actually getting results and being race car drivers and accomplishing everything that they are regardless. So it's like, do you think that was almost a curse as much as it was a blessing in some ways? Because it was like people weren't even viewing you as comparing you to other women. It was comparing you against the people you were trying to beat.
No, I mean, I feel like again, conflicted. I feel like that's what I wanted, right? Just to be another race car driver. But I also feel like, hey, I'm still here and I'm still like the one that you should pit yourself against in a way. But I've never, ever thought I wanted to be the best girl. Like I always thought that doesn't get you anywhere because you got to race against the boys, right? It's a bit like the W Series, F1 Academy, whatever it's called. Like, okay, great. But what happens next? Because you've seen a couple of them go into like F4 and stuff like that. And unless you're racing against the best, you don't challenge yourself. You don't up your own game. So I think that, I don't know, I am glad that I did it the way that I did it because it forced me to sink or swim. Same with Simona. And I'm glad that we have some people's respect, you know. I feel like I still have to keep owning it a little bit. Like even this weekend, people were like, "Oh, you were fast." Like it's a shock. And I'm like, I can drive sometimes, guys. Like, so I don't know.
To be fair, I'm always surprised when Alex is fast too.
Same, honestly.
Yeah.
No, I don't know also whether it's just the chip on my shoulder or not about being the girl. Could be.
So, okay. There's a lot that we could unpack there, but like, why don't you give
this Alex therapy session?
I don't think I'm qualified. What are the, like, why racing? Like, was it a family thing? What piqued your interest so much as a young person about motorsports?
Okay. No, I went to an all-girl convent school when I was little. And I was bored.
Big motorsports programs in all girls schools, I hear.
I'm jealous. I always wanted to go to one of those.
Yes. That would get you in jail.
Not now. I meant when I was younger.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, and I was always like a bit of an adrenaline junkie, a bit of a tomboy. I was hanging out with my dad a lot, you know, climbing trees, doing traditional boy things rather than girl things. And I found go-karts and loved it. I loved the speed, the competition with yourself. Because like even now you can like never say that's perfect. Like sometimes you'll be like, okay, nobody would have driven that car faster or on that lap or whatever, but you're still learning and you're still like experience counts for so much. And yet you still are developing as a driver too. Like it's the challenge with yourself. It's the adrenaline. It's it's so addictive that, you know, I guess it's a bit like people who understand golf, right? Like golf's infuriating, but you can never keep replicating the same thing. Racing's a bit different, but it still has those like addictive properties. And so I found karting and my personality is all or nothing. Like I don't know how to half-ass most things. So I went all in and literally racing's been my life 24/7 since I was 9 years old. And I love it. I think I've made a fair amount of sacrifices for it that you don't see as sacrifices because you get to live your dream. Like how many people are lucky enough to find something that they're super passionate about and they love, even if it is a love-hate relationship? Like it doesn't happen every day. And so I feel extremely grateful that I found something that I can pour my heart and soul into.
Does the ups and downs, I mean, we don't get to talk to many race car drivers on here actually. So it's actually an interesting thing for me you'd think we'd talk to more race car drivers than we do.
It's my bad. I want to just have John Green on as often as possible.
Right.
So that's,
do you find that you're more motivated than almost by losing than winning? Like that's where your inspiration comes from, is like that desire to not be defeated, because none of us get to taste winning that often, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so though. Not for me. I think a lot of my motivation, maybe it's ego in a way, because my motivation comes from, I want to fulfill my potential and show everybody what I actually can do and myself, right? Rather than, yes, with the losing, but for different reasons, because like you have a bad weekend, like this weekend in Iowa, the first race, I got a drive-through penalty for pulling out of line at the start that I didn't do. And then they said sorry after the fact, but I already finished 17th. Like could have been
like IndyCar. That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. And like I could have finished in the top 10. That would have been Dale's best result to date. And so I'm like, but it didn't happen. So now I want a redo, right? And now I want to go and show like, okay, in that car, this is what I was capable of at this time. And I don't know why. I've never really thought or analyzed why that drives me, but I want to reach my potential.
Before we're going to talk about IndyCar and we're going to talk about the most recent IndyCar stuff, but like, let's take another step back, right? So you're British. Okay.
British.
If people don't know that, she's not.
No
from
way.
Here. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure New Jersey. That's on me.
Louisiana.
I'm usually very good at these, you know?
What was racing in the States? Was that like a goal? Was that a what you wanted to do in the beginning, or just the opportunities presented themselves over here? And so you kind of just moved and that's now where you are.
Good question, actually. So back then there were literally no opportunities for girls in Europe. Like it was up until recently, very recently, America was much more progressive in like opportunities. The glass is half full. It was actually seen as a positive because you got more attention.
Right.
So American racing wasn't really on the map for us Brits or Europeans until Nigel Mansell came over. And so then we started watching some of the IndyCar stuff. And then Dan Weldon came over and we were like, that's actually pretty cool. Like there's a whole world that's unexplored over there that they kind of tapped into. And then actually Danica was racing Formula Ford in England at the time, and she transitioned back to the States to do Atlantics. And so I thought, okay, I'm not getting anywhere in Europe. I don't have any money. Like my family aren't rich. We scraped together sponsors by going around like, what do you call them? Like, the parks that have all the businesses there, and you like knock on the door and be like, here, I'm 12 years old and this is my CV. Will you sponsor my go-kart kind of thing?
I think just business parks. I think you had it right. Or strip malls if you're in the Midwest.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, I'll come out and see what it's all about. And actually, Lynn St. James and Catherine Nunn. So I don't know whether you remember the name Mo Nunn.
Yes.
He was, team owner and very well-respected engineer back in the day. And she ran an Indy Lights team, and they had a shootout for an Indy Lights ride. And so I sent my CV, or what do you call it, resume, over resume to Lynn. And I was like, well, I'm the best girl driver. It was a shootout for female drivers. Like, for sure, they'll pick me as one of the ones to come over and do it. And they didn't. And I was pissed. And so I said, okay, well, I'm just going to show up anyway, and maybe I'll learn and I'll meet some people. So I borrowed the money for a ticket to Texas from my daddy, and flew in helmet in hand, and actually begged the team to put me in the car while they were all doing a press conference. And so I got to drive, and I won the event, even though I wasn't a part of it. Like, you have to ask Lynn the story, because I literally got in the car and they're like, yeah, she's who we want. So, and so that was fortuitous, I guess. And
I love stories like that, because I feel like there's a ton of those in racing where it's just like you did an absolutely like baller risky move. Like, I'm just going to show up. I'm going to put it all out on the line. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to look like a crazy person, but it's okay, because I got the self-confidence that I'm going to back this up and I'm going to win the damn thing. Like, that's so cool.
I mean, it's kind of fake self-confidence in the beginning as well, because I did feel like a crazy person, but I'm like, come on, you just give me a shot. Like, I'll just do a few laps, like, please, kind of thing. And I think they felt sorry for me and they did it. So I won that.
Success through pity is most of my dating life. So I understand.
Yeah, it's also a way, right? So then that's in the story of my career. So then I won that and I got a call like 2 months later saying, actually, the money fell through. It's not happening. So I'm like, oh, fantastic. But by that
Another
time,
super familiar racing story.
Life.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I feel like that's a whole podcast in itself, honestly. And so then I'd already got the American bug. That was the first time I'd come to the States. And so
Texas, you love Texas. Texas sold it for you.
And it was in the summer, and I just remember the doors of the airport opening, and it was like 100 degrees or whatever it is in Texas in the summer. And all I remember thinking was, holy cow, people live here? Like, this is insane. And then the cars were all so big, and they went off to the left and the right on the highway, and there was me, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is crazy. But it's quite impressive, to a young English girl who's coming over. And then we stopped actually at a Mexican restaurant. We didn't have Mexican restaurants in England at the time. And they said to me, what do you want? And I had no idea what I wanted. So I said, can I have a glass of water, please? And the lady said, sorry, ma'am, we don't have that here. And I'm like, they don't even have water. Like, what's going on? And then the team lady goes, she means water. And I was like, that's literally what I just said. But anyway, so I had caught the American racing bug. And I got the opportunity to drive in Formula Renault here to do 3 races in like the Can-Am Cup. And my dad said, if you save up some money for it, I will match it. So I saved up some money. It's like $15,000, and he's put $15,000 in at the time. And we did the 3 races, and that's how I met Vicky O'Connor, who ran the Atlantic Series. Yes. And she said that Kevin Kalkoven was in England buying Cosworth. And so I was back home in England at that time, and I loved America, and I loved racing over here and the people. And it seemed like everybody was so much more positive about me in general. And so I put my resume together, and I went to Cosworth, and I said, hey, can I speak to Kevin Kalkoven, please? Because he was over there buying it. And the lady at the reception was like, okay, this crazy English girl. Like, no, of course you can't speak to Kevin Kalkoven. Who are you? I was like, I just wanted a minute of his time. I can wait till he goes out for lunch or what have you. And she said, no, we'll take it and we'll give it to him. And I was like, no, I really wanted to just see him. And Kirsty, his daughter, and Kim, his then fiance, now wife, unfortunately he's passed, but they came out because they wanted to see who this crazy English girl was, demanding to see Kevin in the Cosworth office. And they sat with me for a minute, and they said to Kevin, you should really give her a shot. And so Kevin called me like literally 3 days later. I thought they hated me and they thought I was crazy. And I literally cried on the way home to my dad because it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. And he called me like 3 days later, and he said, okay, young lady, can you be in Phoenix on Wednesday? And I was like, I don't have any money left. No. I'm going to call my dad. Daddy, I need a flight to Phoenix. And so got on a plane to Phoenix, tested for Polestar in the Atlantic car, and they gave me a glowing report. And Kevin said, okay, young lady, you've got 6 races. I'll give you the first 6 races. And the first one was Long Beach. And I crashed in qualifying and started from the back and made my way through, and I won the race. And he was like, okay, here's a contract. So that's kind of
You won your first Atlantic race?
Yeah.
After starting last?
Starting from the back. Yeah.
I could have gone without a tone of surprise there. I mean, we all know Catherine's a badass.
No. Like, I just, that's cool. Wow. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't realize that. So then you went straight from Atlantic, 1 year in Atlantic, to Champ Car.
Yeah, it was my first full season in racing ever.
And then, okay. So then where did you finish in Atlantic that year? Like
Third.
okay.
I won 3 races and finished it.
Okay. So amazing year as a rookie. Who won the championship that year? Do you remember?
Andreas Roos.
Okay. So then you graduate to Champ Car in 06 with KV or whatever it was called.
I got to test the F1 car. I got to test the Minardi F1 car, which was pretty cool.
Okay. What was better, the 06 Champ Car or Minardi F1 car?
06 Champ Car. The old Lola Champ Car was the best car ever. Like if you had to just choose one car that would like live on forever and it was your favorite, it would be that for sure. 100%.
And so, okay. So 2006, then 07, was 07 the Road America year?
06 was the Road America year.
06 was the Road America year. So 2006 rookie year, Road America, I presume your second time there because you went there once in Atlantic. Yes. Yeah. I was there that weekend. And I remember this like insane, I had never seen anything like it on TV ever. I didn't see it in person, but it was the biggest crash I'd ever seen, period. Right. And it's like, oh my God, who was that? What happened? So for those that don't know, Road America, leaving the carousel, 160 miles an hour. There's the kink on the back straight, flat, 180 miles an hour, whatever. Your rear wing just broke, right?
Delaminated, peeled straight up, peeled out of the end plate.
So like it stopped working?
Stopped complete. Well,
right.
So you don't realize how much speed you pick up though. So the first thing I noticed wasn't the lack of downforce. It was like somebody put a rocket on.
So initially you were pumped.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah. Yes. And this was before safer barriers. So you just
wait. I want to get a bit more into that. So what does that feel like before you realize what's actually happening?
It feels like Joseph with a legal push to pass.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
So impossible to feel, and no way that you could have known.
Well,
right.
So you wonder like how, like
yeah.
Huh? What? And then you turn into the king and you're like, oh.
That's how. Okay. And like, it was a full like fuel cell separated, like chassis.
Which was good.
Okay.
Like I saw that. So I'm on the fence. At that time I'd opened my eyes because like initially I'd closed my eyes.
For sure.
As you do. And then I saw the back end of the car break away. And I don't know whether you remember, but it was like this ethanol mix back then where you couldn't really see the fire.
Yeah.
And so it always terrified me that I would be on fire and I wouldn't know that I was on fire until it was too late or whatever. Yep. So as soon as I saw that happen, that was like, oh, cool. I'm not going to burn. Right. Like that kind of thought.
Okay.
But then I started hitting the ground with the roll hoop because obviously no safety screens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought that's how it ended. Like, I'm like, okay, this is how I die in my brain. It was just kind of an acceptance because you hit the ground with your head so many times. You're like, sure, it's gonna break your neck or do something like that. And then it came to rest upside down and I tried the radio button.
So you were fine, right? Because I remember you walked out of the medical center. So
yeah, I did. It's the only time I've ever seen my dad cry.
Okay.
Which he said, Katherine, for 15 minutes, I didn't know whether you were dead or alive. And then I started crying and then he started crying. And so that was when we had like a come to Jesus meeting where he blamed himself and he's like, I don't think that you should do this because I got you into racing and I feel like it's my fault if anything happens to you. And I'm like, no, listen, I do what I love. If anything happens to me, it's got nothing to do with you. And so it was kind of good to get that out of the way. And I've had a couple of big shunts since, but I feel like I've been lucky, but I also feel like I've been racing for a long time and you're going to have a lot of big shunts.
Yes.
How are you, by the way? I'm sorry, I didn't ask.
Oh, I didn't. I'm fine. I'm annoyed, but I'm fine. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Man, I knew her story was wild, but it's I didn't necessarily know how intense it was, and the stories of her coming over kind of just with a bag and a helmet in hand and a one-way ticket to Dallas, and here we are 18 years later. So amazing story, amazing person, fantastic race car driver. And we enjoyed talking to her so much that this is going to be part 1 of a 2-part episode. So if you enjoyed this one, which I know you did, come back next week and listen for more on part 2.